Princess Chiama got ready to have the warlord's child for the peace of her kingdom. As the warlord took her to bed, they began too. In the ancient kingdom of Nyanga, Princess Chiamaka was beloved for her intelligence, kindness, and beauty. Her long, flowing hair, deep brown eyes, and warm smile endeared her to the people. Under the just rule of her family, the kingdom prospered. King Oba, her father, was a wise ruler respected by all. Queen Amina, her mother, was known for her compassion and wisdom, often walking among the people to listen to their concerns. Chiamaka, although young, had earned a reputation for her cleverness and bravery. She attended council meetings with her father and learned the art of diplomacy from her mother. Life in Nyanga was idyllic, but tension loomed with the neighboring kingdom ruled by the ruthless King Badu, known for his ambition and brutality. Despite King Oba's efforts to maintain peace, the threat of war was ever present. As Chiamaka gazed over the kingdom from the palace balcony, she felt a sense of foreboding. She knew the peace they enjoyed was fragile, and that she might soon have to step up to protect her people. Little did she know how soon that time would come. One fateful day, the tranquility of Nyanga was shattered. King Badu's army launched a surprise attack, capturing several villages on the outskirts of the kingdom and advancing rapidly towards the royal city. The once peaceful streets were now filled with fear and uncertainty as news of the invasion spread. King Oba convened an emergency council meeting. The room was tense, filled with the worried faces of advisors and generals. The king's usual calm demeanor was strained as he considered the best course of action. Chiamaka sat by his side, her heart heavy with the realization of the dire situation. King Oba knew that a full-scale war would bring unimaginable suffering to his people. He decided to seek a truce, hoping to avoid further bloodshed. Messengers were sent to King Badu's camp under a white flag of peace, carrying Oba's plea for negotiations. After tense hours of waiting, a reply came. King Badu's terms were harsh and shocking. He demanded that Princess Chiamaka become his consort in exchange for peace. The council erupted in outrage, but King Oba's face turned ashen. He knew the gravity of the decision before him. Chiamaka, this decision weighs heavily on my heart, but if it means saving our people, I must ask you to make this sacrifice. Princess Chiamaka, Father, I understand the burden you carry. I will go. Our people must come first. Princess Chiamaka, though filled with dread, agreed to King Badu's demand to save her family and kingdom. She steeled herself for the journey, knowing that her life was about to change forever. As she prepared to leave, the people of Nyanga gathered to bid her farewell, their eyes filled with gratitude and sorrow. With a heavy heart, Chiamaka set out for King Badu's palace, determined to protect her people, no matter the cost. The journey was fraught with danger, but she remained resolute, her mind already planning how she might use her wit and courage to turn this dire situation to her advantage. Princess Chiamaka arrived at King Badu's palace, a grand but foreboding structure made of dark stone and iron. The air was thick with tension, and the courtiers eyed her with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. Chiamaka was escorted to her quarters, a lavish but cold room that felt more like a gilded cage than a sanctuary. Determined to protect her people, Chiamaka quickly began to observe and learn. She used her wit and charm to gain King Badu's favor, all the while searching for any weaknesses in his regime. King Badu, taken by her beauty and intelligence, gradually allowed her closer to his inner circle. However, the more Chiamaka learned about his plans, the more she realized the extent of his cruelty and ambition. King Badu was a complex man, In private, he could be surprisingly gentle and attentive, showering Chiamaka with gifts and compliments. He enjoyed their conversations, appreciating her sharp mind and insights. Chiamaka, in turn, played her role perfectly, pretending to be enchanted by him. Yet, every kind word and lavish gift only fueled her determination to bring him down. Despite his outward charm, King Badu's true nature was revealed in his ruthless actions. He ruled through fear, meting out harsh punishments to any who opposed him. Chiamaka witnessed his cruelty firsthand, from the public executions of dissenters to the way he manipulated and controlled his court. Each act of brutality stilled her resolve to undermine him. Chiamaka discovered that King Badu's court was a nest of vipers, with nobles and advisors constantly scheming for power. She carefully navigated these treacherous waters, befriending those who seemed dissatisfied with Badu's rule. Among them was Duro, a seasoned warrior disillusioned by Badu's ruthlessness, and Adaeze, a noble woman who secretly yearned for peace. Your Highness, many of us tire of Badu's tyranny, but to oppose him openly is to invite death. Duro, there may be another way. We must be patient and strategic. Back in Nyanga, King Oba and his council received Chiamaka's secret messages detailing Badu's plans and the dissent within his court. They began to plot a rebellion, using the information she provided to form alliances and prepare for a future uprising. Chiamaka's relationship with King Badu grew more complex as time passed. He confided in her, revealing his dream of a vast empire and his disdain for weakness. He believed Chiamaka shared his vision, unaware of her true intentions. Chiamaka played her part well, feigning admiration while secretly despising him, all while Badu was none the wiser. Together, Chiamaka, we will create an empire that will be remembered for centuries. Yes, my lord, your vision is truly grand. During this period, Chiamaka realized she needed to solidify her position and alleviate any growing suspicions Badu might have. As Princess Chiamaka navigated the treacherous intrigues of King Badu's court, she began to realize that not everyone supported his ruthless methods. Beneath the surface, there was a simmering discontent among the nobles and soldiers who longed for peace and justice. Chiamaka's astute observations and genuine kindness began to win over those who were dissatisfied with Badu's tyranny. One night, during a lavish banquet, Chiamaka found herself seated next to Adaeze, a noble woman known for her quiet demeanor. Over the course of the evening, Chiamaka subtly probed for information, sensing that Adaeze might be an ally. Their conversation was cautious, but a mutual understanding began to form. In the following weeks, Chiamaka deepened her relationships with those in the court who harbored grievances against King Badu. Duro, the disillusioned warrior, became one of her most trusted confidants. In secret meetings, Chiamaka, Duro, and Adaeze discussed the possibility of Reby's rebellion and how they might overthrow Badu's regime. However, as Chiamaka's efforts progressed, she noticed King Badu's growing suspicion. Despite his outward affection, he began to question her interactions with the nobles and servants. His control tightened as he noticed the increasing camaraderie between her and the palace staff, particularly those known for their dissatisfaction with his rule. King Badu's suspicions were further fueled by a series of small incidents. One day, he overheard Chiamaka speaking in hushed tones with Duro and Adaeze. Though their conversation was innocent, his paranoia twisted it into something sinister. Another time, a servant reported seeing Chiamaka receiving a secretive letter, which was actually a message from her father, King Oba, updating her on the rebellion's progress. Chiamaka, I noticed you have grown quite close to some of the nobles and soldiers. "What are you discussing with them?" King Badu said, "Only matters of the court, my lord. They seek my counsel on various issues." Princess Chiamaka replied, "Be careful, Chiamaka. Not everyone can be trusted. Betrayal often comes from those closest to us." King Badu responded. His paranoia culminated when he found a hidden compartment in Chiamaka's quarters, containing letters from Nyanga. Although the letters were carefully written to avoid suspicion, Badu's mind raced with thoughts of conspiracy and treachery. He began to question Chiamaka's loyalty and the true nature of their relationship. And one day, King Badu asked, "Chiamaka, what are these letters from Nyanga? Why are you corresponding secretly with your father?" "My lord, they are simply updates on my family's well-being. I did not wish to trouble you with these personal matters." Princess Chiamaka replied, "I will not tolerate secrets, Chiamaka. Remember, your loyalty lies with me now." King Badu said, realizing that Badu's suspicions were growing dangerously, Chiamaka decided to take a bold step to throw him off the trail. She decided to suggest having a child, knowing it would make Badu trust her more and secure her place in his inner circle. This decision was not made lightly, but Chiamaka knew it was necessary to protect her people and buy more time to execute her plans. One evening, Chiamaka approached Badu with a look of determination. "My lord, I have been thinking about our future. To truly unite our kingdoms, perhaps we should consider an heir, a child to carry on your legacy and our shared vision," she said. King Badu, "You speak wisely, Chiamaka. An heir would indeed cement our legacy and bond. I am pleased by your suggestion," King Badu replied. He was delighted by the idea, saw it as a sign of Chiamaka's loyalty and commitment. His suspicions eased, and he grew even more affectionate and trusting of her. This decision further embedded Chiamaka in his inner circle, allowing her greater access to his plans and movements. Despite her internal turmoil, Chiamaka did not waver. She continued to gather intelligence and relay information back to her father, King Oba. In Nyanga, the council used Chiamaka's insights to build alliances and prepare for an uprising. The people of Nyanga, unaware of the specifics, sensed the growing tension and prepared themselves for the coming conflict. Back in Badu's palace, Chiamaka's pregnancy began to show. King Badu, proud of the impending birth, grew even more affectionate and trusting of her. This development allowed Chiamaka greater access to his plans and movements, but it also increased the stakes. She had to tread carefully, knowing that any misstep could endanger not just her life, but the life of her unborn child. However, as Chiamaka's pregnancy progressed, King Badu's paranoia began to surface again, and his ruthlessness shone through one evening when he learned of a rumor that a servant had spoken ill of Chiamaka and their unborn child. In a fit of rage, Badu ordered the servant's entire family to be executed as a warning to others. "No one disrespects my heir. Let this be a lesson to all who dare to speak against us. My lord, please show mercy. Punishing the innocent will only breed more hatred." "Silence. I will not tolerate weakness or dissent. This is how we maintain control." Chiamaka was horrified by his brutality. She realized that Badu's love for their child was twisted by his obsession with power and control. This incident solidified her resolve to end his reign. She knew that bringing down King Badu was not only necessary for her people, but also for the safety and future of her unborn child. One night, as Chiamaka lay awake, contemplating her next move, she was visited by Duro and Adaeze. They had news that could alter the course of her decision. Duro said to Chiamaka, "Your Highness, the people of Nyanga are growing restless. King Oba's preparations for rebellion are almost complete, but he needs your guidance." Adaisi backed this up, saying, "If you stay here, the danger grows by the day. But if you leave now, you risk everything you've worked for." Chiamaka knew that leaving the palace would mean abandoning the strategic advantage she had gained. Her pregnancy had successfully diverted Badu's suspicions for the time being, but his growing ruthlessness and paranoia meant that it was only a matter of time before he turned on her again. In a moment of clarity, Chiamaka decided that the best course of action was to stay and continue her mission from within. She knew that the information she could gather from Badu's inner circle was invaluable to the rebellion. However, she also realized she needed a plan to protect herself and her unborn child. Princess Chiamaka replied, "I will stay. The knowledge and alliances I formed here are too crucial to abandon, but we must be prepared for the worst. Duro, Adaize, we need to ensure an escape route for me and my child, should the need arise." Duro and Adaize agreed, and together they devised a plan to smuggle Chiamaka out of the palace if her situation became untenable. They identified loyalists within Badu's ranks who could assist them and established a network of safe houses along the route to Nyanga. As Chiamaka continued to play her part, she used her position to sow seeds of discord within the palace. She subtly encouraged dissent among the nobles and soldiers, making them question Badu's increasingly erratic decisions. Her pregnancy became a symbol of hope and a rallying point for those who desired change. One day, as King Badu raged about a minor insurrection in a distant village, Chiamaka saw an opportunity to plant more doubts in the minds of his advisors. "These fools dare to defy me. I will crush them all," King Badu shouted. "My lord, perhaps it is time to consider a different approach. Ruthless suppression may only breed more rebellion. We need to show them the strength of our unity and the promise of our future heir." Badu, momentarily calmed by her words, nodded in agreement, but Chiamaka's true intention was to highlight his instability to those around him. The more erratic he appeared, the more likely his advisors would be to support a coup. Chiamaka's critical choice to stay and gather intelligence from within began to pay off. Her secret messages to King Oba detailed Badu's plans, weaknesses, and the growing dissent within his court. With each passing day, the rebellion in Nyanga grew stronger, bolstered by the strategic insights she provided. Princess Chiamaka, in a secret message to King Oba: "Father, Badu's paranoia increases with each day. His hold on his advisors weakens. The time to strike approaches, but we must be swift and decisive. I will continue to gather information until the moment is right." As the rebellion's preparations reached their final stages, Chiamaka knew the moment of confrontation was near. She had made her critical choice to remain in the heart of danger, risking everything for the future of her people and her child. She was determined to see King Badu's reign come to an end and to bring peace and justice to the kingdoms of Nyanga and Badu's domain. The chaos reached its peak when King Oba's forces launched a surprise attack on King Badu's palace. It was a moonless night, and the element of surprise was on their side. The coordinated assault was swift and fierce, with Oba's forces breaching the outer walls before Badu's guards could fully mobilize. Inside the palace, Chiamaka had been preparing for this moment. She had discreetly alerted her allies within Badu's court, ensuring that key positions were undermanned or left vulnerable. As the sounds of battle grew closer, she knew it was time to act. "Duro, Your Highness, the time has come. We must move quickly." "We will, but we must also ensure Badu's capture. He cannot be allowed to escape and rally his forces. The battle raged through the palace corridors. Chiamaka, now visibly pregnant, moved with a determined grace. Her allies, including Duro and Adaeze, fought valiantly by her side. They encountered pockets of fierce resistance, but the tide was turning in favor of Oba's forces. As they neared the throne room, Chiamaka could hear Badu's enraged commands echoing through the halls. He was desperately trying to rally his loyalists, but the surprise and intensity of the attack had thrown his forces into disarray. Hold the line. Do not let them through, for the glory of our kingdom. Chiamaka and her group burst into the throne room, where they found Badu surrounded by his remaining guards. The air was thick with tension and the smell of burning torches. Badu's eyes widened in shock and fury as he saw Chiamaka leading the charge. A fierce and bloody battle ensued. Chiamaka fought with a ferocity fueled by months of suppressed rage and determination. Her allies, inspired by her bravery, fought with equal fervor. The clash of swords and the cries of the wounded filled the room. Amidst the chaos, Chiamaka saw an opening. She and Duro charged at Badu, who was engaged in combat with one of Oba's soldiers. With a swift and decisive strike, Chiamaka disarmed Badu, sending his sword clattering to the floor. Badu, now defenseless, tried to flee, but Duro and Adaeze blocked his path. The former tyrant, realizing his defeat, fell to his knees, a look of disbelief and fear on his face. Chiamaka approached him, her resolve unwavering. With Badu captured, the remaining resistance within the palace quickly crumbled. The forces loyal to Oba secured the palace, rounding up Badu's supporters and ensuring the safety of the people. The battle was won, and the dawn of a new era was on the horizon. Chiamaka, exhausted but triumphant, stood amidst the aftermath of the battle. The throne room, once a symbol of Badu's oppressive rule, was now a testament to the courage and determination of those who fought for freedom. She knew the fight was not over, but the decisive victory had turned the tide in favor of peace and justice. Chiamaka's bravery and sacrifice were revealed to both kingdoms. The people of Nyanga and their former enemies saw her as a heroine who risked everything for peace. With King Badu's downfall, the two kingdoms began to rebuild, striving for a future of cooperation and mutual respect. As Chiamaka looked out over the palace grounds, she felt a sense of relief and hope. She had faced her critical choice and emerged victorious, not just for herself, but for her unborn child and the future of both kingdoms. The news of Badu's capture and the palace's liberation spread quickly. In Nyanga, there were celebrations as people rejoiced in their newfound freedom and the promise of peace. King Oba, proud of his daughter's courage, immediately set plans in motion to unite the two kingdoms under a banner of cooperation. Chiamaka returned to Nyanga with Badu as a prisoner. His trial was held in a grand court where nobles, soldiers, and commoners gathered to witness the proceedings. Badu was charged with numerous crimes, including tyranny, murder, and oppression. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and he showed no remorse for his actions. His lack of remorse only solidified the people's desire for justice. Badu was sentenced to life imprisonment, a symbolic gesture to show that tyranny would not go unpunished. This act of justice marked a significant reversal from the fear and oppression that had plagued the kingdom. With Badu's defeat and sentencing, Chiamaka's reputation soared. She became a symbol of resilience and hope, inspiring people from both kingdoms to work towards reconciliation and unity. Her story spread far and wide, becoming a legend of courage and sacrifice. Chiamaka, alongside her father and their allies, began the arduous task of rebuilding. They worked to establish fair laws, promote trade, and encourage cultural exchanges between the two kingdoms. The former enemies now saw each other as partners in a shared vision for a prosperous and peaceful future. The birth of Chiamaka's child was celebrated across both kingdoms. The child, a son named Kofi, represented a new beginning and the blending of two once opposing cultures. His birth was seen as a divine blessing, signifying a new era of peace and prosperity. Princess Chiamaka's story is a powerful tale of courage, sacrifice, and resilience. Faced with the ruthless rule of King Badu, she infiltrated his court to protect her people and ultimately led to his downfall. Through her intelligence and bravery, she forged alliances and inspired unity between two warring kingdoms. Chiamaka's journey teaches us that true strength lies in compassion and determination, and that even in the face of tyranny, justice, and peace can prevail through unwavering resolve and the pursuit of unity. Her legacy as a peacemaker and heroine continues to inspire future generations.